housing numbers are in and the data is not looking good. This is the moment you've been waiting for if you're not a seller. Since pretty much the end of 2022, sellers have almost had that like Facebook marketplace classic car seller vibe of, I know what I've got, don't lowball me. But they want 3 times what they paid for it 4 years ago, and that's starting to change. Back in November of 2024, on this channel, we talked about the presidential pause, where we were seeing a lot of sellers tell us they were waiting to see who would win the election before they decided what to do with their properties. I think deep down, a lot of them were hoping that Trump would win and the economy would just rocket off and their property would explode in value like it did with 2% rates. But as we all know, with tariffs,
Trump's tariffs,
more now on the implications of these tariffs,
is sweeping new tariffs,
and fears of war,
the United States has gotten involved,
a massive coordinated attack,
and inflation and affordability issues.
In the latest inflation report,
inflation for food prices,
serious affordability crisis.
That really hasn't been the case in like 99% of real estate markets. We run 2 businesses in the real estate space. One is a call center that takes inbound calls for investors, agents, and home services businesses called Call Porter.
Are your reps even in the U.S.?
Yeah.
The second one that we run is Ballpoint Marketing. It's a direct mail business that a lot of those same clients use. Our July numbers at Call Porter came in and we ended up closing the month out taking over 18,000 inbound calls, and the data was quite frankly pretty strange. Historically, what we've seen is anywhere from 1/3 to 50% of sellers that get a piece of mail or some sort of solicitation from an investor or agent aren't super thrilled about it and they're asking to be taken off of any sort of mailing list. Well, this month, it was less than 9%. Over 80% of the folks that reached out were interested in somebody coming out and doing either a listing presentation or making them an offer on their property. Seller sentiment has finally flipped. If you're online at all or watching the news, most news coverage about the real estate market or housing in general has churned pretty much more negative than positive. There's obviously pockets where things are still affordable, like in the Midwest. There's also markets like Cape Coral where prices are just plummeting, but overall, it's more bad than good, and the average homeowner seems like they finally caught up to that. I am curious if you're a buyer, a seller, an agent, or an investor, what are you seeing in your market? According to recent Redfin housing data across the entire US, there are 14% more homes for sale. Days on market is also trending upwards at more than 10%, and 21% of listed properties have had price drops. The sky isn't falling, but optimism definitely is. Personally, I fly paragliders as one of my hobbies just to stress my wife out. And in paragliding, there's this concept of taking too much speed or letting the glider get too far ahead of you. Basically kind of like what we did when rates went down to 2%. We let things get too fast, too long, and if things get too out of control, the glider can actually collapse in front of you, leading to a potential risky event. In the event that it appears that you're headed for a frontal, pretty much all you can do is pull brake or drag the glider back behind you. The problem with that though is if you pull too hard or hold too long, the glider could then collapse behind you, sending you effectively onto your back, plummeting downward, which kind of feels like what we've done. We let rates get too low, and now we've kept them too high for too long, causing things to really slow down. If you're an investor, we're seeing our larger clients increase their marketing budgets and get more conservative on their offers. They're buying more places at deeper discounts. We're seeing like a 7 to 10% increase in budget month over month. My own personal investing, we've seen sellers coming out of the woodwork, folks that months or even years ago told us to pound sand, now wanting to know if that offer is still on the table. If you're a seller, I wouldn't be panicking, but I would be very realistic and I would be very cautious about what real estate agent you listen to and what advice they give you on how to price your home. Most agents are going to tell you to just look at comps and swing for the fences. Realistically, we want to look at what's listed that we're going to be competing with and what's pended what something sold for 3, 4, 5, 6 months or back when rates were 2% is irrelevant to you listing today. My parents just listed their personal home out in New Bern, North Carolina. Beautiful home on the water. They had 2 showings and 1 person who put in an offer that they accepted. The likelihood that you're going to get a bidding war is probably pretty low. Data shows us that in most markets, like 10 to 20% of houses are still selling for above ask. That doesn't necessarily mean there was a bidding war or even that they were priced high. It more means they were priced appropriately and generated demand. If you're a buyer right now, retail looking for a home for your family, I would swing for the fences with that offer. I would want to have my cake, eat it too, and I would want the keys to their old Porsche that's sitting in the garage. If you've been looking for reasonable sellers, I think your moment has arrived. If you're hoping to buy a house in the US for 1990 pricing, I don't know that it's coming. Now, this isn't necessarily all doom and gloom for folks that are involved in real estate. I think we might end up with what I'm gonna dub like a green Christmas. They're talking about rates being cut multiple times through the end of the year. Plus, hopefully by Q4, we've got tariffs and all of the related drama sorted out. If rates do come down a bit and tariffs and all the associated drama settles down, we might have an unseasonably busy Q4. Typically, it's the colder season, properties aren't really changing hands, but if things are even slightly more affordable and sellers remain reasonable, we might see some traction. Thank you guys for taking the time to hang out with me. If we haven't met yet, my name is Ryan Dossey. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. That helps us reach more folks like you. Talk to you next time.